Hey guys, Level Cap here, and welcome to Devlog 26 for a spaceship game that I'm building in Unreal Engine 5 with my buddy Rich and a bunch of help from the community. Today, I'm very excited to show off some awesome new weather effects that we have in the game, some new sound effects, and we get to talk about the replacement of some ancient legacy code that we made at the beginning that informed how spaceships fly in the game, but we got to replace it with some brand new code that's going to make things way easier from here on out. Let's get into it. All right, I'm always excited to talk about Panzer V1, who has done most of the audio design for this game so far. And he has just completed work on a new sound effect for a beam weapon that is going to be a staple in our game. Check it out. Now keep in mind all the VFX for this are very much placeholder work in progress stuff. We're going to be adding to them and improving them, but for the sound it was really fun talking with Panzer about how the weapon functions and what it should sound like. It's not a laser, it is a plasma centrifuge that essentially looks like a laser, but it wouldn't travel at the speed of light, which will allow ships to potentially dodge it in game. Now, what I like about this is I was able to repurpose my CWiz sound blueprint to set this up. And so I'll show you how it's broken down into 3 different sounds. We have the spin up, which lasts for 4 seconds. And then in code that translates to the fire effect. And then we trigger again in the blueprint the spin down once the firing is done. As we begin to refine this weapon logic, there's going to be a way to cancel the spin up and go directly to the spin down. And for that, it's going to require a little bit more logic in here, but this is sort of the baseline of what it's going to be. Now, if you've been following our devlogs, you might notice that there's some new clouds in the background. These are thanks to an Unreal Engine plugin that I got on the asset store called Ultra Dynamic Sky. Not designed for a top-down spaceship game, but I popped onto the developers Discord and they helped me modify it in a way to get it working for our top-down space environment. And I think it looks awesome. We also have an additional fog layer on top of there where Uriah, somebody who's helped out with our project quite a bit in the past, helped me design a fog layer that kind of nicely blends and fades out so we can get even more control if we want to create those fun God Ray type shadows with the asteroids on top of the fog. Now what I've done to the left here is I've created a storm cell, which is a feature in the weather plugin for Ultra Dynamic Sky. And it comes with lightning. That's right, space lightning. I was very much influenced by Star Trek The Wrath of Khan, where they're fighting in a nebula at the very end, the original Wrath of Khan, and there's sort of lightning and fun volumetrics happening there. And I'm like, we need that in our game. We need some fun environmental art for space. And it's been sort of a cornerstone of making this game world feel fun, dynamic, interesting, because space for the most part is very, very empty. So for games, we got to fill it up with some fun stuff. So shout out to the developers behind Ultra Dynamic Sky. This plugin is very powerful and hopefully we can keep using it throughout development to create different types of atmospherics and stuff like that. It's neat. I can just scroll this little slider over here and it controls how many clouds I have in there. They even have the ability to have auroras in the game, which look really cool. So maybe I can use that feature for different parts of space. Now, I also got some concept art from Island recently. We're going to be starting Spaceship soon, but he wanted to give me a concept for our little asteroid outpost here. This has been white box for a while and it needs an upgrade. So here's the concept of what we're gonna start working on. I had a little meeting with John Lagostini, who's helping me with a lot of the asteroid materials and some smart material workflow about how to build these out in an efficient way. And it's gonna be a fun challenge, but I think this will be a really cool way to create sort of city-like environments within space that aren't just giant asteroid bases or space stations. And so I'm really excited to develop this workflow down the line. Now, as always, there's a ton of stuff going on in the back end of the game. The coding, basically everything you see on screen is being supported by an underlying code base. And we got to replace one of the early bits of movement code with a brand new system, thanks to a community member who goes by the name of Mr. Meteor. I've been wanting to talk about Mr. Meteor for quite a while because he's been actually working with us for several months on creating a completely revamped way in which we will be able to control ships in the game and how that code is implemented into the game. And we're finally on the verge of implementing this code to work in our game. It's a big deal, and I don't actually totally understand all the nuances of it. So Rich is going to explain those details.
For most programmers, deleting code is probably in the top 5 most gratifying things you can do. And I just got to delete a bunch of blueprint code. Back toward the beginning of the project, I created the first blueprint code for our ship movement and controls. That was great for iterating quickly. We made a lot of progress there. And then eventually we knew that this stuff, the math, especially, was going to go better in C++. I also was looking for an opportunity to try out the several ways that Unreal gives you for decoupling features. Decoupling is a really big topic, so I won't cover it all, but one of the nice things it gets us is that we can now test the movement system by itself and know that the movement system definitely works, regardless of whether or not anything else in the game works. So if something about movement is messed up, but we know that this movement feature works by itself, then we know that there must be something wrong with our integration or something else on the Spaceship side or something like that. So for that reason and other reasons, I decided let's make this movement feature a plugin. To help build out this plugin, we got help from a great member of our community, Mr. Meteor. He's really knowledgeable in the math and physics aspects of things, and he's doing a great job with this movement plugin. So before this plugin, we had a bunch of blueprints for RCS. Now that we have this movement module that's all C++, I was able to delete a lot of blueprints. There wasn't any C++ code being used before, and the plugin comes in around just about 25 kilobytes of C++ code. Deleting code, having less code, having smaller code isn't always great, but if you do it right, you can make the code more maintainable, which is really valuable in the long run. So what's the difference between the old way and the new way? The original way was a quick and dirty solution. We're just starting building the game. Ugly stuff. We were manually adding particle systems for each thruster around the ship. And then we would give them a special naming convention so that we can know which direction they're facing, what side of the ship they're on. And then we have some other code to do some math and determine which thrusters are firing at what level. And that was for anywhere from 8 to 16 thrusters per ship. We've got 4 ships in the game now, but we're hoping for dozens of ships. So that workflow was not going to work well in the long run. In the new system, the thruster particle systems are automatically distributed around the ship in the right direction, in the right place. No naming convention really needed. And then each thruster controls itself by looking at the ship's propulsion brain and asking it, what is the current thrust vector? And then I will activate my own particle system appropriately. So not only did that get rid of a ton of code, and that felt great, but our workflow is now going to be smoother in the future. We're going to be able to get ships put together more quickly.
So this new movement plugin is going to be a huge upgrade to our workflow. It's going to be a cleaner code base, and there's some fun, happy accidents that came from it, which might allow us to control AI in a cleaner, less cumbersome way. So there's a lot of cool stuff that we're looking forward to. Hopefully this code will be fully implemented by the next devlog, but we'll see. Now, if you want to follow this project more closely, check us out on Discord. Rich and I are constantly posting on there with things that we're working on or potential solutions for problems that we're running into, and people are always contributing good ideas to help us move forward. It's a fun community. I like it a lot. So check us out there. There's a link for it in the description. And if you're new to this project, you can check out the playlist here to go further back and see our progress since the beginning of the year. And there's even a video linked on there that has the overview for the whole game concept. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.